If you've ever walked through a place like St. Pete Beach, you've probably went to a little place called Corey Avenue. Corey Avenue is literally the living soul of St. Pete Beach, and you can almost feel its heart beating when you go inside of it. But it's more than just a clump of shops and on the side of a road. It's actually literally St. Pete Beach. When I say it's the heart of St. Pete Beach, I mean it because originally Corey Avenue was Pete Beach. Because before St. Pete Beach was founded, another town called Coreytown was founded. And of course, it was not successful and was not officially incorporated. And then 20 years later, St. Pete Beach was incorporated. But that brings up the question, what's going on with Corey Avenue? Why is only half of it there? And how is this new Corey Landings project going to affect the surrounding area? That's what we're going to discuss in this another episode of Harborside Uncovered. You're probably wondering, what the heck is Corey Landings? Corey Landings is the first new condominium slash complex built in the St. Pete area in most likely over 40 years. And this will be the most expensive one yet. It's going to cost around $100 million. And it's going to be made at the very west side of Corey Avenue. But that reminds me, who's even been to West Corey Avenue? No one goes there. There's no shops there. There's nothing. The only thing that was there was a car repair shop, which was bought out by the construction company of Corey Landings named Coulter Urban. But the thing is that in order for Coulter Urban to obtain all this land to build all these complexes and expand Corey Avenue to make a new shopping area called West Corey Avenue, they needed to get a lot of land right across from Corey Causeway, which I talked about in another video. He bought a bunch of land, including Blue Parrot, a former restaurant that was on the bay. And actually, my downstairs neighbor actually was the original owner of it. Of course, I can't interview him because he's too busy hiding away his $1.65 million from the HOA. And then again, that car repair shop was also bought up by Coulter Urban. But are they even going to build this? And is this just another hoax that the newspaper made up? Well, this time, I don't think so. A great example of this is simply the welcoming sign. The welcoming sign has always had creative designs over the years, but this year they changed it to this small, modern, boring black and white design. And as much as I hate to say it, it does sort of fit because the background is white and black fits perfectly with it. But still, the tiles are still red and it's everywhere. So just imagine all of the red rooftops and all of the blue tops and even the cyan ones in Coral Point with all black roofs. But this may be closer than you think. Let me show you another example. The reason I dare to say so is because Coulter Urban, although seemingly unfamiliar, is the company that's behind 1/3 of all of downtown's most recent skyscraper additions. Like, if you ever look at the downtown St. Petersburg skyline, you can see hundreds of super tall buildings, and the newest addition, the tallest building on, I think, the west coast of Florida, like 240 on Central, I think it's called, with a staggering 40 stories. Coulter Urban is seeking to beat that, making a building made 42 stories. So basically, Coulter Urban isn't joking. And unlike other construction companies in Florida, they don't take 5.5 years to actually start building. Usually, they start to build within 2 to 3 months. That is incredibly fast. So before you know it, these buildings might just pop up and make the skyline different than ever. But I think what Coulter Urban is trying to say to St. Pete is that maybe it's time to stop being so old-fashioned and not changing anything, and maybe it's start to modernize St. Pete Beach. As much as I hate to say it, it's about time. It's 2025. 2030, the year that everyone was going nuts in the 90s, is 5 years away from today, which means that it's time to revolutionize everything and re-modernize everything in St. Pete Beach and St. Petersburg in all. And maybe even all of Pinellas County. If you don't believe that companies are starting to modernize everything, and even construction companies, then take a look at Harborside. To most people and most long term residents, Harborside hasn't changed at all. Same people, same buildings, same grass. But a lot has changed, really. There used to be buildings in that field over there. They're not no longer here, and no one seems to remember them or talk about them or even acknowledge them. There used to be practically a whole neighborhood in Coral Point, and no one talks about it either. But the thing is, what I'm trying to say is that modern designs, one of their biggest, most popular features is the black and white design. And Harborside has always been sticking out like a thumb or like a needle in a haystack because all of our buildings are super colorful. No, I think everyone loves it. I mean, we even have our own little system, the red roofs and the blue roofs. But something weird is happening, and it's only been happening this decade of Harborside's history. And that's we are turning black and white, and you might not notice it. Just let me show you. If you look at the current guardrail on everyone's balconies, you can see that their iconic red color is no longer a thing. They were all painted black, and this isn't just in Ranger. This is on every single red rooftop, or at least every single one that I know of. Surprisingly, the blue roofs and cyan roofs haven't done anything like this, but there's still time to improve, and we don't know what's going to happen in the future. Far, we've talked about how good this project is going to be for the St. Pete community, infrastructure, and everything else. But there are one teeny tiny teensy weensy problem, and that's that when they build this building, there is going to be a slight price increase in the surrounding area. That's because the property value is going to go up a little bit, which is a good thing for real estate agent, not a good thing for the buyers. And we all know that the prices are high enough as they already are. But before I leave and say goodbye to you all, there's one thing I need you to take note of, and that's that everyone remembers last year, right? Right, guy? That thing. We don't talk about that. Well, one of the main problems in St. Pete Beach that caused a lot of flooding was our kind of terrible storm water system. Our drainage system gets clogged very easily. It has lots of gunk in it and can flood and cause flash flooding very easily, destroying hundreds of buildings as lots of investors and owners of these buildings have to pay hundreds, if not thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars for repairs. But Coulter Urban promised that with their massive piece of land, they're going to renovate the entire sewage and stormwater system, which means there will be no more flooding, or at least no more flooding in that area. But the area where it is a key place for flooding, which means it will be very great to the area. Thank you for watching this episode of Harborside Uncovered. Actually, it's technically called St. Pete Uncovered now, but I'm still going to call it Harborside Uncovered. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you want more of these high-level local history documentaries, and see you later. Bye-bye. Hey everybody, Mark here. This is kind of the credits scene. I don't really have any credits, but all the information in this video was all credited for local news sites like Gabber, theberg.com, and other places. So I don't want people to say that I got something messed up because I'm just using my head as memory. But just a reminder, we're in a subscriber battle with Z-Car, my friend. He's already beat us, but he's only at 200 something subs, like 213 I think. So we only need around 60 more subs and we'll beat him by 8 subscribers. So please let me do it. Tell all your friends and their friends of friends. And thanks for watching. Please comment down below what episodes you want to hear next, and please give me some feedback because I like to put a lot of work in these videos and I want to see how I can improve them. Thanks for watching. I'm also sorry about taking so long to post. I kind of had a lot of things in the way. Anyway, bye bye.